Okay, this is my initial recording after working with Power BI on our dashboards for 30 minutes. As you can tell by the title, I'm doing some PGA stats from the 2017 season. So if you look over here on the left, I was trying to figure out what the correlation is between driver distance and the amount of hole outs that players are having in a season. And so what I initially thought was the further the player is driving, the more hole outs they would have because their shot into the green is closer. But it turns out to not be the case, which I guess just goes to show that these players are focusing more on their short game than their long game. Then when we look over here to the right, I wanted to see what some of the driving factors were in how players walked off with a bogey. And I found that one of these major factors was fairway bunkers, with that being the x-axis here and the y-axis being the amount of bogeys they made on the season. And so, really, around 62 total fairway bunkers hit during the season resulted in the most amount of bogeys. I think the extremities on the left or right could be due to a lack or an excess of rounds played compared to other players. Okay, I'm back recording the second half of my Power BI dashboard video. So, where I last left off was with these two top graphs. And for this top right graph, I actually realized that I needed to change my y-axis from the sum of bogeys made to the average of bogeys made so that it wasn't just a quantity issue for how many fairway bunkers were hit. Since last video, I added a graph in the bottom left that is measuring the average of points by the number of top 10 finishes. So for this graph, I really wanted to figure out if the players who were the most dominant throughout the season, meaning the most wins or the most top 10 finishes, were the highest point getters, or if it was the ones who were more consistently finishing in the top 50 or just making the cut. And I basically found that it's a pretty linear line between the amount of top 10 finishes that you have and the amount of points that you finish with throughout the season. The graph on the bottom right here is the average of total strokes by the age of the golfer. And what's interesting about this is that as the age of the golfer goes down, so does their average of strokes, and it's consistent across the board. Thank you.